What is up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Let's Talk Football. So it's fantasy football for the girls, by the girls, baby. Week 2 of NFL football is over. We're moving to week 3, and Ange is back, baby. Coming off sickness, she's back with us. What's up, Ange?
I'm back. I might have had a down week like some of our top guys last week, but I'm back, ready to rumble this week.
Hell yeah.
Kids got me sick. No more sickness. Hopefully I got out of my system, and I'm back for the rest of the season.
Jeremy little damn gremlins, huh?
I might have just jinxed myself, but
it's all right. Well, yeah, you'll have a cold next week for sure, but it's all good. Yeah. Ange is back. We're back as our tag team duo here on Let's Talk Football, sis. And we are going to waste no damn time because who wants to listen to a long ass podcast intro? Not me. I usually scroll past that bullshit. I'm always like, get the fuck to the point, baby. So let's get the fuck to the point, shall we? Let's talk a little quick highlights from the game that I personally loved. We're going to go over a full game 2 recap. And I guess I should not get ahead of myself here. Just so you know what the show is going to look like, friends, we are going to go through our normals here. We're going to talk week 2 recap. We're going to talk injury report so you know who to be aware of from an injury risk standpoint. We're going to talk our typical rookie and vets of the week. From there, we're going to get into our hot and heavy sit starts for week number 3 and go through every single matchup just like we did last week, just like we will every week. So get used to it. So we'll go through sit and starts. And then to end, like we always end, we're going to do sweet and spicy starts of the week. That way you can get our hot takes on who maybe we might take a little bit of a risk on in week number 3. So let's dive into it. Ange, tell me, what was like your favorite, just like jaw on the floor play from week number 2? Anything stand out to you?
Well, Tesla apparently is coming in hot with one-arm catches. Like, I thought, wait, did they just replay last week's like game footage and then like whatever, show us what he did? No, it was that game. It was week 2. It was crazy. Like, awesome. I think he's someone to keep an eye out on. I don't think you're popping him in your lineup right now, but he's definitely making a name for himself. Huge as a rookie.
Absolutely. Huge freaking play. And I also think he was like, I don't think he even thought he was in play. He was just like, doomed, done. I was out. And everyone's like, no, dude, you were in. That was a badass freaking one-arm catch. I could not agree more. I think my favorite was the back-to-back Miami Patriots special teams touchdowns. Like, not only was that the first special team touchdown of the season on a return, and then it happened back to fucking back.
Another good boot driving Washington back to his 27-yard line. He bobbles it for a second, still going as he spins forward, trying to get to the outside. Washington gets by the punter, down the sideline. Malik Washington to the house. Touchdown, Miami. 74 yards. Patterson to Gibson, who gets a running start on that catch. Gibson across the 30. Antonio Gibson still going. Can he return the favor? Down the sideline. You gotta be kidding me. Back to back. A 90-yard touchdown.
I was like, are we gonna stop it? No? Okay, cool. I'm here for it. So those sneaky fun special team plays are always such a win too. If you happen to have their defense, you're like, yes, baby. It's a huge win for you. Absolutely. There were some key highlights here. Obviously, we saw King Kenneth Walker himself make his way back into the offense. And now it has all of our brains jumbled. Like, who the fuck is going to be their running back consistently? Because that was just a clusterfuck of, I didn't want to trust Kenneth Walker at all week 2. And I'm a little pissed off at myself for it.
Yeah, he wasn't looking great, but he's showing his dominance, showing who he really is. He's back, baby. And don't doubt me, haters. I am Kenneth Walker.
I hear it. Well, Justin Fields officially made us look a little bit like idiots. Okay, you know what? We should have known.
Because we were like hot on Fields, hot on.
Everyone
play him, running upside, do it. And then
3 points, some points, and a concussion, and maybe not play next week.
Poor buddy.
It's okay. Poor Justin. I got him off waivers, and I'm like, mother fork balls, but it's fine. Same thing with Russell Wilson, kind of making the entire New York Giants fan base look like fucking fools for roasting him after week 1. However, hear me very clearly. Don't you dare get your fucking hopes up on Russell. Russell. No. Once Russell's challenged with an actual any type of a threat on offense and pressuring him to pass the ball, Russell can't move out of the motherfucking pocket and he panic throws. And he just happened to have time against the Cowboys. Okay. Yeah. We're not going to always think he's going to have that time. We don't. Russell still Russell.
No.
Russell.
Don't get your hopes up on Russ.
Yeah, absolutely. Did you have a best touchdown celebration? Anyone stood out to you from a touchdown celebration?
Well, it made it even sweeter because I have Amin-Ra on my team. And every second I was getting big play, big play, big play. That's what I like to see. I'm doing my little dance, wiggling around. The dog's jumping on me. But he did the best one with his fake hamstring injury. I think we all gasped.
The gasp I gasped.
No. He's just coming back. Here we go. Oh, shit. No.
Oh, we're all my God. I literally was like,
of touchdown celebrations, though.
That whole team is. Yeah. That whole team is so much freaking fun. I love it. I love it. Yeah. My favorite, it wasn't a touchdown celebration. Okay. However, there was a defensive interception on Bo Nix from the Colts, and his last name is Bynum. He took the ball and threw it underneath his shirt. Okay. And at first I was like, is he going to a fake pregnancy birth with this ball? What the fuck are we doing? Well, then he mimicked their mascot on the Colts and did the belly bump in the end zone.
Yeah.
And it might be now my favorite interception celebration. I was like, okay, that's fucking funny. It was such a good time. So those are some of our personal highlights. Right. Yes. I agree. Those are some of our personal highlights. Let's talk week 2 roundup from a fantasy perspective standpoint. So we're going to dive into the quarterbacks first and foremost. We have a huge winner from the week being Jared Goff, who really came in and showed how potent their offense is going to be and that he is a quarterback you can continuously rely on. Hopefully that is. Now, again, Jared Goff is a pocket passer, which means he doesn't use his legs too often. But when you've got so many offensive weapons like you do on the Lions, he becomes a far more reliable quarterback. So he really showed up and showed out in week number 2 for sure.
Yeah. And then we thought it was going to be a flash in the pan. Oh, we won't be talking about him in week 2. But good old Danny Jones is still relevant. I think he's going to stay relevant, right? Mm-hmm. He is really surprising us in fantasy football this year as a really strong quarterback. He is not only throwing bombs, getting great passing yards, but he's rushing, right? I think he now has 3 rushing touchdowns, which is amazing. Yeah. And I think he's so relevant, especially as we move into week 3 with a lot of quarterbacks being injured. I think he's a really great guy to take a look at and to keep your eye out on when it comes to quarterbacks if you need one.
Yeah, absolutely. Same thing with Drake May, definitely making himself rise up here. Maybe you took a shot on him week number 2 and threw him in the lineup because he was favorable over some options. He really did come in and have a great week number 2. So he's someone we're starting to be able to trust. He has a lot of high upside. So again, somebody to keep on your radar if one of your quarterbacks went down and Drake May happens to be available. He might be a great option for you too. And then the injuries. Womp, womp, womp.
We knew it was going to happen.
Joey Burrow, man, homie just cannot stay healthy. He seems to get injured every year, every other year. Turf toe, 3 months. So just not an option for you right now. Justin Fields, concussion. He's on concussion protocol. We're not sure if he's going to go week 3 or not. JJ McCarthy, man. So unfortunate after he was sidelined all last year.
Exactly.
Right. But again, out for an extended period of time. And then just to keep on your radar here too, Jaden Daniels has been officially marked questionable due to a knee injury. So definitely someone you want to keep on your radar because if these guys don't go, you're going to have to make a little bit of a risk it for the biscuit quarterback pivot option. But you know what? Sometimes those are the best weeks where you're like, you know what? Fuck it. I got to throw. It's a shot in the dark. So a win is just an upside, right? You're like, I'm already betting to lose. Fuck it. Might as well shoot for the moon, right?
Exactly. Take this week. I mean, no one had Jake Browning. I mean, obviously. No. But let's say that happens in the future. He stepped the fuck up, right?
He really did.
And he was that guy. Even Mac Jones, right? People might have thought, oh, Brock Purdy's out. It's going to be kind of an off week for them. But he stepped up big. He did big things with the 49ers offense. So don't doubt the backups.
Don't doubt the backups. Running back. So moving into some great highlights here. Obviously, CMC, specifically with Mac Jones in. And yes, their offense having a lot of injuries. CMC has just been a stud. So if you did end up getting him, kudos to you. As long as he stays healthy, we're good to go there. Obviously, in no surprising format, Jahmyr Gibbs is also still that guy. And David Montgomery just had a great week in week 2. However, is clearly based on snap count, which just means how much time they're on the field and how many opportunities they're getting. David Montgomery is the backup to Jahmyr Gibbs. So that makes your decision a little bit harder when you're talking, am I going to throw Monty in or not? However, he had a great week. And if Monty can find his way in the end zone, he's also a very valid point scorer for fantasy.
For sure. And then because of the Austin Eckler injury, right, we suddenly see the man of the year, Bill Krosky stepping up, right? His stock has skyrocketed. So people were on the fence about him. Now they're kind of all team Bill, right? He had a solid week 1. Now the injury with Eckler, he's a really good, valuable waiver wire pick if he's available. I know he went in some of our leagues later rounds, so maybe won't be available. But the biggest question is who's going to take over that backfield? Is it going to be Bill? Is it going to be Chris Rodriguez, Jeremy McNichols? Who's it going to be?
Yeah, I think Bill will keep his same role, right? So he's going to be that power running back. I think the question is Eckler was such a pass catching running back, which that's not Bill's, that's not his zone of genius. He's not going to be catching passes. So now we think, who's going to take over the Eckler role of that backfield? Is it going to be Chris Rodriguez? Is it going to be Jeremy McNichols? That's what specifically, ladies, I want you to keep your eye on, because that could be a really sneaky good selection once we know for sure, which we're probably not going to know till after this week, but that could be a really, really great addition. Because again, having someone with pass catching ability as a running back just gets you more points in a PPR, points per reception league. So love it. Obviously, like we already talked about, Kenneth Walker made his way back into the offense, which now just makes us scratch our head on who to trust, Kenneth versus Sharps. And we saw Quinshon Judkins make his way into the Browns offense this week. And with limited practice time due to some contract disputes, he made a great NFL debut and is also someone just to keep an eye on for sure. Because again, he appears to potentially be the guy they would like to preference in the backfield alongside of Sampson, which I have a feeling Judkins is going to end up becoming the lead back in the Browns offense. So we'll see that unfold for sure.
Yeah. And then
break down the wide receivers.
Wide receivers, elite, the man, the stud of the week, in my opinion. Showing us great production would be Amin-Ra St. Brown. 5 touchdowns. How many touchdowns did he have? 5.
Oh God. I think
he had 5. Check that out.
Well, we're looking it up right now.
Because 3 is a lot.
He had 3. Yeah, I was going to say 5. I don't know why. Absolutely not.
That would be a lot.
There was only 52 points on the team. So I was like, I don't think so. But yes, 3.
Maybe I'm thinking the 5 from the 52 because there was an ass amount of points, but Amin-Ra for sure. And then I would say Wan'Dale Robinson for the Giants wide receiver. He was getting really just as many passes as Neighbors. Now I'm not saying he's replacing Malik Neighbors or anything that, but he had a huge week, 8 receptions, 142 yards and a touchdown. He's been consistent for Russell. Will Russell be consistent? We don't know, but especially in deeper leagues, he would be a priority waiver wire pickup for me.
Absolutely, for sure. And then we watched Rome Odunze really show us that he is going to be that guy in their offensive scheme, which we love to see. We did see a nice breakout here from Troy Franklin of the Denver Broncos and Alec
Iomanner.
I
came prepared because I knew we were going to stumble on that one.
I know. I was like, I literally said it so many times yesterday, and I was like, even when I go to say Iomanner, I'm going to fuck it up. However, they had massive games, and they appear to look really good. Now, Iomanner, in my opinion, just seems to be making great connections with Cam Ward. He would be someone who I would trust a little bit more than Troy Franklin. Troy Franklin is the wide receiver 3 on the Denver Broncos. I think he had a great particular week, but he's not someone we can trust. However, Rome, Troy, and Alec all had really, really great week 2 show-ups, and our underperformers, Scary Terry himself, just still isn't really making himself super big into that offense just yet. Debo is far more consistent. And again, Chris Olave with a disappointing week here, 3 receptions, 38 yards, just a really big week 2 letdown. But how about our tight ends? Anyone give us some hope there?
Well, disappointment of the week would be Mark Andrews. I think it's following a trend of last year, right? When he was goose egging people. He's not quite goose egging us, but it almost feels worse when you get like 1 or 2 points from a tight end. He's kind of been a major bust. You could be looking at him as a streaming option. Maybe if you want to kind of take a little bit of a risk. I mean, he's solid. He's not like a throw him away, dump him player. He's a solid guy, but just not performing like we want. Now, this happened last year, right? As we went into later in the season, he started to step up big. Isaiah Likely's still out, so he's still kind of that main guy to look at, but kind of a womp week for Marky
Mark. Yeah, I agree. He's now someone who you can start to think about, streaming someone over him if there's a favorable matchup from the tight end position.
Yeah.
The 2 really standout tight ends right now, Juwan Johnson, if he's out there for some reason, he shouldn't be anymore, but like he is a fantastic and he should be a start. Like if you have him, I picked him off waivers in one of my league, he goes immediately into the lineups for sure. And same with Zach Ertz. His connection with Jaden Daniels looks great. And also if we look at week 3, if Jaden Daniels is out, Zach Ertz is still going to be a great target for their backup quarterback because they're going to want some short passes to Debo, to Zach Ertz, to the running back position, all of that kind of stuff. So just keeping all of that in mind here too. Zach Ertz is another great consistent tight end there for you also. So that is our week 2 roundup from a fantasy relevant standpoint. Moving into just some highlights here for injuries, some of which we already covered. Obviously, we know we're still dealing with injuries from Brock Purdy and Xavier Worthy. These are guys, and George Kittle. So Brock Purdy, Xavier Worthy, George Kittle were all on our injury report last week and stay in our injury report this week. So keep that in mind. Guys, we are adding to the injury report here. Joey B, 3 months out, turf toe, 3 months minimum. So at this point, we don't even know if he's going to be able to come back and become fantasy relevant or if he, will only make an appearance if they're still in playoff positioning at that point. Austin Eckler, completely done for the year, torn Achilles, absolutely devastating. How sad. I just got targeted by his wife on TikTok and I saw her cute ass get ready with me and she would dress him and I was like, no.
And then I just saw one too. They were in Target, they were shopping together. And then I was like,
cute.
Oh no, it was a sign.
Yes, I was like, oh shit. Of course I had to look at her comment section and everyone's like, this didn't age well. And I'm like, give the girl a break. Her literal, I think they're married. Maybe they're not married. They might just be dating. I'm actually not sure. But I was like, that's fucking sad. However, you can drop him officially. He can come off of your roster, and that means Bill is now the guy. Jaden Reed suffered a collarbone injury. He's sidelined for 6 to 8 weeks. So again, out for a while here, even though that entire offensive scheme is a little bit unknown. Aaron Jones left the game with a hamstring injury, which skyrockets the likelihood of Mason becoming a great pickup in your draft. So love that. Like we already said, JJ McCarthy, high ankle sprain, missing 3 to 4 weeks. So keep that in mind as well. Uncertain about Jaden Daniels. So we're just not sure if he's going in week 3 or not. And obviously, we do film this podcast early in the week. So we keep an updated injury report list in our Patreon. So if you're not already a member of the Patreon, you can join the Patreon in the show notes below as well. Let's get into, let's do our Rookie of the Week. Did we do our Rookie and Veterans of the Week?
Nope, we didn't do that yet.
No. Let's Rookie Vet of the Week. Ange, go ahead, lay it on us.
Okay, so my Vet of the Week is Jared Goff, right? So Lions last week were kind of a little bit of an abysmal start to the season. People were like, oh, here we go. Offense is different. They're showing why, Ben Johnson was so important to them. And they came back swinging in week 2. And I guess all it really took was Ben Johnson being back in Detroit on the opposite team to say, screw all the haters. We are still here. He had a career high 3 touchdowns to St. Brown. Huge bounce back week from the week 1 loss in Green Bay.
Yeah, absolutely. I love it. I'm also going quarterback here with Baker Mayfield from the Monday night game, which I don't usually get to stay up for a Monday night game. However, because they started that shit at 7, I was like, can we help the Eastern Standard Time gals out a little bit more? Because fuck, I could stay up for that. Baker looked fiery and angry in true Baker Mayfield fashion. He took off on a 4th and 10 conversion, converted the 4th and 10, then proceeded to appear that he might have strained his hamstring. Me and most of my husband were like, oh no, Baker.
No, another gasp.
Immediately he heard shit talking and he was like, I'm fine, and got up and got in this motherfucker's face. And I was like, Baker, I love you. I love you, Baker. He looked great. 215 passing yards. I know. 215 passing yards, 2 touchdowns. Baker still appears to be the just really trustworthy QB who is going to put his fool ass body on the line for you. And we love a player who's willing to throw it all out there. He might not be doing it for me, but I'm going to pretend that he is. So we're here for it. How about your rookie of the week, Ange?
My rookie of the week would be, and this one's a little bit spicy, right? I think, and I'm not a Browns fan, biggest Browns hater, husband's a Browns fan, Amanda's husband's a Browns fan. We grew up in a Steelers household, but Quinshon Judkins is my rookie of the week simply because he signed a contract 8 days before this game. He stepped in, barely practicing with the team, and made a debut that saw him rushing 10 times, 61 yards rushing, and he was like the lead Cleveland receiver. Now, I know the backfield in Cleveland is booty hole, but I think this was like I'm here, you waited for me, let me show you my stuff. Glimmer of hope moment for the Brownies.
I like it. I like it. And my rookie of the week, again, not because of performance in week 2, but because of likelihood of performance here on after, is Lil Bill Krosky-Merritt. He is going to take over that backfield. So we love that for him. Very happy to see what happens there. And I think he's going to end up kind of really stepping into a lead role. So if you happen to have him and the running back room is looking dismal for you, maybe you are smiling now after week number 2. Again, we feel bad for Austin Eckler. However, excited for Bill himself here. All right. That is all we have from a week 2 roundup. Those were our rookie and vets of the week. We are now moving into sit starts on every side of the football. So buckle in. Like we say, grab a notepad. We're going to try to fire through these fairly quick, give you some context where context is needed, but also tell you auto start guys. And just trust us on the auto starts, okay? I know some of these vets are still giving you a little bit of heartburn, but it's only week 2, baby. Even if you're 0-2, even if you're 0-2, don't freak the fuck out. It's all good. It's all good. We're going to be okay. Shit'll buff out. Keep trusting the process. Let's go ahead and go game number 1, Ange. Lay it on us for our first matchup of the week here.
Heck yeah. So grab a Tums, buckle in. So first up, we got Miami and Buffalo on Thursday night, which I'm excited for. On the Miami side, I would sit Tua. Tua is not very favorable for me. He had a little bit of a bounce back week in fantasy, but I would still probably not be using him. Daniel Jones is looking a lot more favorable to me. At wide receiver, we got Tyreek Hill. Yes, there's some drama around him. Yes, he's not maybe the most reliable right now, but he's showing it. He's starting to emerge as what we know him as. So you got to start him. Jalen Waddle's a little bit of a tougher call. Not in love with Waddle this week, but because the offense is just a little bit hard to trust. I would maybe play players like Zay Flowers, obviously Rome Odunze, Deebo Samuel over Waddle, but he's a risky start. You can go for him. I would definitely start him over someone like Jerry Jeudy, though. At the running back position, Devon Achane is a must start. You got to start him. You got to put him in there, especially with his passing upside. And then Miami doesn't really have any tight ends that I think are worth mentioning that have done much at all. Then on the quarterback side, the Buffalo side, you got to start obvious QB1, Josh Allen. I mean, he's the go-to guy. If you have him, I'm jealous of you, but I have Baker, so it's okay. Wide receivers, Keon Coleman, Khalil Shakir. I think they're both starts this week. I think they're headed against a Miami defense that is very weak, especially against the pass. So I think that they're both really great options for Josh Allen. I think they're going to get you some good points. They had a little bit of a bum week this week. It is okay. You got to start James Cook. He is an auto start here. He had a baller week in week 2. I think he's going to continue that strong performance. Have confidence in him. Dalton Kincaid, I think, is a safe option. If you're looking for a streaming tight end, I think he's a guy to go to. If you are doing that each week, he's definitely getting involved every week. And then I don't know. I wouldn't really start the Buffalo defense. I obviously wouldn't start the Miami defense either. I don't think they're a bad call if you're streaming defenses, especially against Miami. But I don't think they're as reliable as other ones out there with matchups this week.
I agree. Love it. Agreed on the jealous of Josh Allen. That is for sure. I could not agree more on that because every time I'm like, why didn't I just take early draft capital with him? Huh? Like, what am I doing? All right. Game number 2. Let's move to the Atlanta Falcons and Carolina Panthers matchup. So obviously we're going to start on the Falcons side of the ball here. In my opinion, there are a few guys that are auto starts, but we'll start with the quarterback position. Michael Penix Jr. To me, he's a sit unless you're in a desperate QB situation. There are a lot of QB injuries right now. I think you'd be fine going Michael Penix Jr. Carolina Panthers defense hasn't been anything tremendous, so I think he should bode well against the Panthers defense. However, he's not someone I'm going to be starting over someone like a Bo Nix or a Baker Mayfield or a Kyler Murray. I'm going to put Michael Penix behind those guys, but if my lead quarterback is out and he's my only option, he's fine to go in if you are desperate. Auto start in the running back room is Bijan Robinson every single motherfucking week. Even if he has a down week, you put him in your lineup because he's that good. Wide receivers on the Atlanta Falcons side of the football have been a little bit hard right now. Drake London is still going to be put into your lineup, though. No, he hasn't been doing great. He's still been getting a good amount of targets, though. He just had a down week. He was also dealing with an injury last week. So you've got to keep that in mind, too. There's a bug right in front of me. I
saw it fly, and I was like, it's going to go in her mouth. It's going to go in her mouth. I was just waiting for the choke.
Drake London is still a great start, guys. So I would still start him. I know that's scary. Darnell Mooney would be someone I sit for now until we just see him involved a little bit more in the offense. Unfortunately, I had to get this game on my list, but Kyle Petty Pitts himself is an auto start. Like, you're fucking starting him as a tight end, okay? Maybe, truly, this is his year.
Oh,
like
boy.
they've said, so many fucking years. However, he is a great start this week as well. Again, from a defensive standpoint, defense does have like a solid pass rush. So against the Carolina Panthers and pressuring Bryce Young, this could be a great start. In this defensive, you're kind of looking at matchups. You're not going to be, this isn't like an auto start defense by any means. You're looking more at matchups on the Falcons side of the football. Moving over to Carolina, there's really only a few starts here for me. Bryce Young, he'd be a really risky stream quarterback option. Again, if Joey B went down and Bryce Young is the only option for you on waivers and you're looking at Bryce Young or Jake Browning or Mac Jones, yeah, I'd go Bryce Young over those guys. But I'm only putting Bryce Young in if I need to take a shot here because he's just risky. We're not sure about his consistent production at this point. So if I could sit him, I would. I'm starting Chuba Hubbard for sure in the running back position. He is the workhorse. He has a large volume and we love anytime our players getting a fuck ton of touches. So we love it. Same thing with the wide receiver room. The only wide receiver on the Panther side of the football I am starting is Ted McMillan. Everybody else, no idea what's going on. We're not starting any of them. And I'm not going to do anything crazy from a tight end position. However, on the Carolina Panther side of the football, the tight end, Sanders, okay? Jatavian?
Yes.
Jatavian. I don't know why I want to like Jatavian. Jatavian,
you want to make it spicier for him.
I know, right? The tight end for the Carolina Panthers, he's been getting a good amount of targets. So just don't think about doing anything nutto, okay? Just like keep him on your radar. And then maybe we waiver wire next week, okay? If you're like desperately in need of a tight end, maybe you pick him up off free. He's not going to go on waivers. So like you're listening to this, he might be still in free agency. And if you're like, I don't know, Amanda, I'm desperate, maybe risk it for the biscuit. So that is the Falcons versus Panthers. Let's go next matchup, Ange.
All right, next matchup, Green Bay Packers versus the Cleveland Browns. Ooh, this is going to be, I think, a slaughter fest.
Slaughterhouse fest,
fest. On the Green Bay side, Jordan Love, I think, maybe isn't a must start, but definitely a streamable option. He showed some really good things this past week. The wide receiver room is I'm going to be blindfolded. I'm going to get a dart and I'm going to throw it on a wall. And maybe that's the guy who, it's like when our mom wears these blind.
Oh my God. 3 blind mice glasses. She wears these big ass glasses and she looks like she's trying to be a 3 blind mice for Halloween. It's insane.
It's sad. So let's imagine mom puts those on, throws a dart at the wall, and then, it lands on Romeo Doubs. It lands on Matthew Golden. It lands on somebody else that's relevant, right? Jaden Reed being out really puts a little bit more maybe light on those other wide receivers just because he was a big part of that offense. But again, it's kind of a little bit up in the air with those guys.
Mm-hmm.
But at the running back position, you got to auto start the workhorse Josh Jacobs and then Tucker Kraft. Woo! Week 2 was like Kraft City, man. He was the guy for Jordan Love. He was the guy in the offense. So make sure that you are starting him if you got him. And the Packers defense just keeps looking strong as shit. And Jerry Jones has to be going to bed every night and crying himself to sleep from getting rid of Micah Parsons.
Senile ass Jerry Jones doesn't even know he's not there anymore. He's like, was that Micah?
He's like,
did he do that?
Micah, good ball, good block, Micah. That's a good point. Okay, never mind. That's just the only thing I kept thinking of when they were flashing to him when he was like, we're going to win this game. And then I was like, but you lost such a good asset. Anyways, on the Cleveland poo-poo Brown side, you got to sit Joe Flacco. Ooh, boy, I'm not sure about that Flacco situation there. We even saw Dylan Gabriel get in at the end of the game, so I don't know what that says about it. I think Stefanski was still very certain that Flacco was his starter, but keep an eye on that. I would sit both wide receivers for Cleveland, Jerry Jeudy, Cedric Tillman. I was almost going to include this as my favorite play when in the end zone, the ball just gets fumbled around. And then Cedric Tillman just there. And he just grabs the ball. And he's like, I guess I'll take a tutty.
Yes. You know what? It's funny because both of our husbands are Browns fans. And that shit never happens to the Browns. So every time something like that happens in the Steelers, my husband's like, it's the Steelers of them. And I'm like, go fuck yourself. It just happened to you. Get out of here with your fucking nonsense.
Oh, yes. And then at the running backs, we mentioned Judkins earlier, I think being part of that backfield more so. Jerome Ford, I wouldn't even talk about Jerome Ford, think about Jerome Ford. Dylan Sampson's a little bit relevant if you really need somebody, not saying auto start Dylan Sampson whatsoever. And then in the tight end room, we got 2 good tight ends, and we saw a really great week 1 from Fannin Jr. And I love him because he's an Ohio, guy with Bowling Green. Shout out to Bowling Green there. But we also have Njoku, who I think is going to be more relevant. They haven't really shown as those top wide receivers, but they're very midline, very kind of just doing things. So, and surprisingly, the Cleveland defense was really solid against the run. They really shut down Lamar. They shut down Derrick Henry. I don't know how good they could be limiting Green Bay too. So something to keep a lookout for.
Absolutely. I love it. The Cleveland offense is just extremely hard to trust right now, which is, always unfortunate, but
hashtag booty hole.
It is what it is. All right. Moving on to our next matchup here. We have Houston versus Jacksonville. Let's get into it. So Houston, you're going to sit CJ Stroud. He looked, rough again, week number 2. Just not a guy you're going to be able to trust. So he's going to be sat down for now. Same thing with the running backs on the Houston side of the football. Obviously, Dameon Pierce was out this week. So we did see Woody Marks jump in place of him, which again, Chubb and Marks shared the backfield. Chubb got in the end zone. That was the only upside for him. I'm going to try to sit both of those guys for now. The running back room is just too much of a cluster. There's no lead back. So it's hard to trust someone who's just not going to get enough work. And again, Nick Chubb's only going to be valuable for you if he gets in the touchdown. If he gets a touchdown, if he doesn't get a touchdown, you will be disappointed with the production from Nick Chubb. Wide receiver wise, Nico Collin, absolutely start him. We are good to go with Nico. Dalton Schultz is a viable tight end streaming option for Houston. He is just really motherfucking slow. I don't know if you've ever seen him run, but it looks like he's running through quicksand.
Probably looks like what I look like when I run.
Shut up.
I think I look fast. And then you took a video of me and the trail run coming through the end. Now I just finished 15 miles, 16. I'm saying 16. But I was like, oh, I'm slow. Oh, no.
Oh, no.
I thought I was killing it. No.
Looking like Dalton Schultz running up that hill. But nonetheless, he's a viable streaming option. He does have a fairly safe floor, so he would be someone you can look at there too. The Texans defense do look like a good streaming option as well. I mean, obviously they only let about 20 points up from the Buccaneers in week number 2. So they do have a good favorable matchup, especially if you're facing someone with a vulnerable offensive line. We watched, the Houston Texans offensive line blows, and we watched them really beat up on CJ Stroud because of that. Like literally, I looked at CJ and I was like, boy, your life is at risk currently, okay? All right, Jacksonville side of the football here. Obviously, we're looking at quarterback first and foremost. Trevor Lawrence, solid streaming option. He is a guy you can trust. Even when he's throwing some picks, he looks very reliable here. Also, it's nice because he is throwing the ball so much to the Travis Etienne, which is a start from the running back position for the Jacksonville Jaguars. So Trevor Lawrence is not only throwing to his wide receivers, he's also throwing to his running back. So just a lot of points adding up there for you for sure. So Trevor Lawrence is a solid streaming option or a solid start as well. Travis Etienne, abso-freaking-lutely. You're going to bleed as many points out of Travis Etienne as you can until maybe he cools down. Hopefully he doesn't. So he's an immediate start for the running back position. Wide receiver wise, I know Brian Thomas Jr. has done nothing. I also know he was listed questionable, maybe dealing with like a wrist injury. So like keep your eye on it. However, if you have Brian Thomas Jr., I don't want you to give up on him, okay? I'm going to advocate for Brian Thomas Jr. Don't give up on him just yet. I would still start him in week number 3, even though he has very much underperformed for where he was taken as draft capital. Travis Hunter is a very possible starting flex option for you. He's not an auto start, right? To me, Brian Thomas Jr. is an auto start. Travis Hunter is not an auto start based on other guys' matchups. However, he's a very safe floor. He's always going to get a few targets and he's always going to score a few points. So he might score you anywhere between 5 to 8 points consistently. He could also end up getting in the end zone. So if you need a safety net, Travis Hunter is there. But if we're looking at guys like, Stephon Diggs versus Travis Hunter, I might preference Stephon Diggs over Travis Hunter. I might preference Cooper Kupp over Travis Hunter. However, I would probably preference someone like Marvin Mims over Hunter, even though Marvin Mims didn't have a great week number 2. Those are just guys to kind of think about considering. Travis is not an auto start, but he's a great option. And then same thing with their tight end, Brenton Strange. He has high flex upside.
There we go.
Again, might not be a guy you start every single week, but he is a solid streaming option week to week based on matchup as well. The Jags defense is a viable streaming option if the matchup is favorable and we're going back up. They are playing Houston with a shitty O-line, so that could be a great option for you for some sacks, for some turnovers, things like that for the Jacksonville-Houston matchup week 3.
Okay, and let's get into Bengals, Vikings. So we already mentioned Joe Burrow's out with that toe turf injury, womp womp. But if not, if you have him, you should be looking for a streaming quarterback. If you don't already have one, probably don't already have one because Joey B was going high. Jake Browning, I think, did great things. Sam Darnold, I think, is another guy to really look at as a streaming option. He is really showing off his stuff. Even Matt Stafford could be a good guy to stream for the week. Got to start Chase, got to start T. Higgins. I know T is been a little bit quiet, right? But he's too talented not to just put on your bench. He's too talented. Yeah. Same with running back Chase Brown. You got to start him. He's a pass catching running back. People are a little bit worried about him because of what his production so far. Now Burrow's going to be out. What is that going to do for him? But that could actually help him, right? It could be kind of those passes, those short passes to the running back that might get him a little bit more involved. And then there's really no strong tight end for the Cincinnati Bengals. And the defense is still bad, so do not start them.
Absolutely.
And then on the Minnesota side, we know the injury with J.J. McCarthy. Carson Wentz is his backup, correct? I'm right on that one.
Yep.
And I love Carson Wentz because he played in the same league that my alma mater, Youngstown State, played. So I always keep an eye on him. But we'll see if he can come back and do big things like Carson Wentz did a couple years ago. Justin Jefferson, always start him. Adam Thielen, unless you're super desperate and you're in a very deep league, like these crazy people playing in 20 league, 18 people league, crazy. But I'd rather play, Devontae Hopkins. I'd rather play Keenan Allen. Those are way better guys over Adam Thielen. I wouldn't really think about Thielen. Amanda mentioned it earlier about the Aaron Jones injury that skyrockets Jordan Mason up in your kind of your mind, and you got to get him in there for this week. TJ Hawkinson, I think he's startable. His value's dropping just a tiny bit, but I don't think he's a forget him kind of tight end. There are probably a little bit stronger plays out there like Pitty Pitts. Tucker Kraft obviously is a great one. And even Travis Kelce could be a little bit stronger than Hawkinson, but I wouldn't doubt him. Even with the backup quarterback coming in, could be a good thing. And then Minnesota's defense is a little bit sneaky. They've done some good things, so could be a streamable option here, especially with the Cincinnati offense. So that wraps up Bengals, Vikings.
Bengals versus Vikings. Moving on to Pittsburgh versus New England, baby. So let's get into it. Obviously, from a quarterback perspective, Aaron Rodgers, he's not a viable streaming quarterback for me right now at this point. Maybe deeper in the season if we really need a one-off. Sure, for now, he's going to stay either in free agency waivers, unless for some reason you have him on your team. He would be staying on the bench right now. I want to see him connect better with DK Metcalf. I just want to see him be a little bit more consistent. Obviously, it's only been 2 weeks, so we're going to wait on Aaron Rodgers. You will absolutely be smashing the start button for Jaylen Warren. He looked great in week number 2. Obviously did a lot of pass catching, so a lot of short check downs from Aaron Rodgers to Jaylen Warren. He's great at catching the football and has been explosive on the offense. Kenneth Gainwell is his clear backup. Caleb Johnson at this point can be dropped off of your roster. If you're looking at picking someone else up, he can go. He's had literally 2 snaps and fucking fumbled one of them. The Steelers are not going to trust him right now. So we are just going to wait on Caleb Johnson. Unless you're in a dynasty league, he could sit on your bench in dynasty for now, but you can drop him in any other league for now. Jaylen Warren is a must start. DK Metcalf is a must start. Calvin Austin is always going to be an extremely risky start. I think people saw big stars. Specifically, I know like when we're not super versed in fantasy football, a lot of us can get distracted by one really high-performing week. Calvin Austin had a great week 1. A lot of people picked him up off of waivers. He did nothing week 2. He's always going to be a hit-or-miss wide receiver. So just keep that in mind. He's not going to be someone you start unless you're desperate. He's very similar to like a Rashad Bateman for the Ravens. Rashad Bateman can come out and drop fucking 20 to 30 points on you. And you feel really guilty for leaving him on your bench, but you could never predict when that's going to happen. It's a roll the dice situation. So Calvin Austin will always not be someone we can trust right now. Same thing with the tight ends, both Freiermuth and Jonnu Smith. It's a committee, so we just don't know who's going to be favored. If I had to take a shot, I would preference Jonnu Smith over Freiermuth simply because Arthur Smith likes Jonnu Smith. So like if I had to take a shot in the dark, that's who I would preference, but it's pretty unknown and not a tight end room I'm eager to look at. The Steelers defense, they still don't look that great. They had a better week 2 and added a little bit more pressure. However, they still let a lot of points up to the Seahawks. So there's still a defense that I'm looking to maybe look at streaming at this point. I have them. I took another shot on them week 2. They didn't let me down as much as they did in week number 1. However, I'm probably going to look at streaming that defense at this point. Moving on to New England, Drake May. Yes, we appear to be able to trust him. He's moving up the ladder with trust factor there. The running back room, Ramondre is still that guy. Okay. And it's funny because I walked into this season telling people you're going to sit TreVeyon Henderson down for a while. And everyone gave me so much lip. Social media, the men, man, the vulture men were like, you're wrong. You're dumb. You don't know what you're talking about. Go fuck yourself. Ramondre is that guy. Okay. He's still obviously very involved in the offense and he's going to be a start. You're really not starting TreVeyon Henderson unless you're desperate and need some type of other option and everyone else is fucking hurt on your roster right now. So if you got him and you can sit him, you should. If you have Ramondre and you got to put him in your starting lineup, he's a great guy to go. Looking for the wide receiver room on the New England side of the football, Stephon Diggs. Listen, he's had a very, very slow start to the season. We're not really sure what his production is going to look like. Do I still think he's worthy of a start in some options? Yes. If you can have room to sit him down, you should. Like I would start a George Pickens over Stephon Diggs. Stephon Diggs is the wide receiver 1 for that offense, but I still would start a wide receiver 2 with more favorable upside, like a Deebo Samuels, like a George Pickens, right? Those are still guys I would start over Stephon Diggs, but just keep an eye on him to see how his production goes. If you have to start him, go ahead, just hold your breath a little bit and hope that Drake May starts to actually feel consistent in targeting him. Kayshon Boutte. First of all, his last name's funny, okay? Booty. What's up, Booty? Again, he had a great week 1 and he had a decent week 2. However, his week 2 would have been Booty whole if he didn't score that touchdown. So he's not someone I'm going to trust just yet. However, he is someone I'm going to keep on my radar as potentially being a great connection for Drake May. So this week, I would sit him. However, I would think about having him on my team if I need another wide receiver option in the room. He's more of that like high upside sleeper, but again, is volatile still at this point. Hunter Henry, Austin Hooper, they're again splitting time in the tight end position. I have Hunter Austin. I combined Austin and Henry.
Whoa.
One combined human.
Their relationship name.
They are. There we go. So Hunter Henry is someone that it's harder to trust at this point. I would probably look at streaming that tight end option and sitting him down if possible. From the defensive side of the football, they've been able to generate some pressure. Again, could be a good streaming option depending on who they're going up against. Now, the O-line is there to protect Aaron Rodgers. So probably not a streamer I would look at in week number 3, in my opinion.
Okay, going into the LA Rams, Philadelphia Eagles, we got Matthew Stafford and on the Rams side as a quarterback. I think he's a really good option for you if you have one of those injured quarterbacks. I think he has really great threats downfield. Speaking of those two, wide receivers Puka Nacua, Devontae Adams must start every week. Running back Kyron Williams, another start. He's getting a lot of volume. And then really no tight end here to mention in the Rams that I can really think of. On the Eagles side, again, super quick, Jalen Hurts, you got to start him. I know he had a little bit of an off week, but you got to give him in your lineup. Wide receivers, A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith. There's a lot of stuff going around. What do I do with them? I know we had a lot of questions on social media asking, do I drop them? Do I sit them? I think they are both sits. I think you got to trust in them. Or starts. Oh my gosh, I do that too. I don't know why I want to say sit before start all the time.
Told me to sit them.
No, take that back. Start both of them. Start both of them. And then automatic, Saquon, he's the king. You got to start him. Automatic start. Dallas Goedert, keep an eye out on the injury. If he is in play for week 3, he is definitely going to be in your lineup. And then Philly's defense is Philly's defense. They are supreme. Must start him.
Abso-freaking-lutely. I love it. Moving on to our next matchup, we have Jets versus Tampa Bay. On, obviously, Jets, Justin Fields, concussion protocol, not going to be a start option if he's out. If he is in the game, he could be a streamable quarterback. But I have a feeling he's going to end up missing week number 3. So we can leave Justin Fields up to conversation. Like we said, we have full updated reports on injury reports in our Patreon. So if you're not a member already, you can click the show notes to join that as well. Breece Hall is a running back 1 for the team. I would consider him a start at this point. Great week 1, little bit of a struggle in week number 2. However, I think he will have good production in week 3. Hopefully, we did see Tampa Bay struggle, or no, we saw the Houston struggle against the run on Tampa Bay last night or on Monday Night Football anyways. So maybe a little bit of a consideration for Breece Hall, but I still think he's an option. I also think he'll get some check down passes if Tyrod Taylor does end up playing. Garrett Wilson, he's still a wide receiver 1. So while yes, I'm not excited about him potentially having a backup quarterback throw to him, maybe it'll bode well for him. He would still be an auto starter because who are you really going to think about starting over him? You don't want to bench a wide receiver 1 if you don't have to. I still think he's a good start point there as well. And then that's really the only wide receiver I'm looking at on that side of the football. It's a pretty quick one. And the tight end position is just a moot point at this point. There really isn't anyone I can currently trust with consistency there. The Jets is a top tier fantasy defense. They are starting for you every single week. You're not taking them out unless they're on a bye. Tampa Bay, Baker, yes, start him. That guy, workhorse, tough ass dude. We love it. Obviously, just in case this is worth mentioning, he did get banged up quite a bit on Monday night. I'm assuming he's still Baker, so he'll come back, but just keep an eye on it just in case. Bucky, holy shit, did he look good in week number 2. Obviously, he's still the lead back. Rashad White is the backup, so Rashad White sits. Bucky starts for certain. You are starting Mike Evans. You are starting Emeka Egbuka. They are both being used tremendously in the offense. Trust yourself on that. They both go in your lineup. K. Dotton is not someone we're looking to start, but keep an eye on him. He did great last year in the tight end position. We're hoping he ends up coming back into the offense, but to be honest, they don't really need him in this hugely important offensive role, so they're probably going to use him for more blocking in the offensive scheme. However, keep an eye on K. Dotton just in case.
Okay, moving into Denver and Chargers. That is the game I did not stay up for. The Chargers game, way too late for Angela. 7 o'clock, yes. 10 o'clock, no. All right, so first on the Denver side, Bo Nix, I think he had a better week this week from week 1. Faltered a little bit in the second half, but I think he's still a start there. Broncos trust him. I would trust him. Cortland Sutton, he's the main target. I would keep him on your radar for obviously a start. Marvin Mims, sit him. I don't think he's really that relevant. I mean, Amanda mentioned earlier you'd start Mims over, forget who you said.
Ooh,
so there's options there. If you have kind of a limited wide receiver room, kind of in that wide receiver 3 role, I think Mims is someone to think about. He had a lot of preseason hype, isn't really living up to the hype right now, but we'll see what happens. And then Troy Franklin, I would keep an eye on him. Now, don't let this one big week make everything for you, because I know I've gotten into that where I'm like, oh, I'm going to grab that guy because he had X amount of points or whatever. But he could be interesting down the road. And then running backs. So J.K. Dobbins was really the guy in week 2, 16 and 14 carries back-to-back games. RJ Harvey's kind of taking that secondary role. So I would start JK unless you have somebody else who maybe you can put over him. And then Evan Ingram, I think, is just too risky. He's in the middle group of tight ends. He could flash. He could disappear any week. So I wouldn't really trust Ingram there. I think there's other streamable tight ends that are a little bit better. And then the defense for the Broncos, I still think is a very formidable force. So they are a start. Chargers side, Justin Herbert, I think is a start. I think he has got weapons down the field. I think he gets great volume to those weapons. I think he's a start. Wide receivers here, got to start Little Lad, like Amanda likes to call him. You got to start Keenan Allen. You got to start Quentin Johnston. I think he's a great start as well. Amari and Hampton, was a little bit of another womp, right? I think they were looking at him to take the backfield role. Now there was like this weird controversial, full disclosure, did not watch the game, like I said. So this is but there was a fumble. Is it Hampton's fault? Is it Herbert's fault? I don't know whose fault it is, but I would be a little bit tentative on Amari and Hampton. I know you probably took him high. I took him in the 3rd round. So I'm still gonna have faith in him, right? Najee did come in for a little tiny bit in the game, so he could be coming back into play there.
Yeah, technically they did split time evenly at 8 carries each in the backfield. So like it's just something to keep your eye on. They might be going back to the vet Najee. So yeah, I would say like if you're looking at sitting down Amari and Hampton, someone like a Jordan Mason would be a great start this week, specifically with the Aaron Jones injury. So like that would be an option. Even like a Bill Krosky-Merritt over Amari and Hampton, I would take that risk because he's running back number 1. I just worry about maybe them getting a little bit waiting to progress Amari and Hampton with the full zest of Najee Harris in that offense for sure.
Right. And then defense there, I would just kind of look elsewhere than the Chargers defense. Biggest takeaway would be, if the Chargers throw like they did in week 1, the wide receivers can keep going off. They went off last night a little bit too. And Herbert can be putting up 300 plus yards. So I think he is a go-to guy for the Chargers.
Yeah, absolutely. Who did the Chargers play? Who'd you just say?
They play the Broncos.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, we did see the Chargers hold Vegas, quite a bit on offense last night, only to 9 total points. So could be a streaming option. Bo Nix has thrown a pick every game so far. So maybe a considerable option if you want to take a risk on it. Moving on though to Vegas versus Washington Commanders. You are going to sit Geno Smith for now. At some point, he could be a good streaming option. He looked really bad in week 2 though. And so I do worry about him against a fairly decent Washington Commanders defense here. So isn't someone I'm super eager to start in week number 3. Running back Ashton Jeanty, you are still starting him. He is still the lead back role. He hasn't shown us what we hoped for based on his draft position in fantasy football drafts. However, you are still starting Ashton Jeanty. Wide receiver Jacoby Meyer, 12 targets. So even with a shitty Geno week, so Geno did not look good in week number 2. Even with that shitty week, Jacoby Meyer still did put up decent points there. So he is someone that you can consistently rely on from a starting position. Trey Tucker, he is more of like a be on the lookout, sit for right now, but be on the lookout or desperate deep league option, or if you need him on a bye week. Brock Bowers must start. Did he have a great week number 2? No, but that's going to happen sometimes. You aren't sitting Brock Bowers under any circumstances. Keep an eye on the injury, though. He did have a knee brace on, but appeared to be just fine. At this point, the Vegas defense is not a streaming option, so we don't need to worry about that. Jaden Daniels is a start if he plays. Watch out for the potential knee sprain, though. He might be sat down in week number 3. Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt, absolutely lead back in the Washington Commanders backfield. And we're just keeping an eye on who becomes the fill-in guy for Austin Eckler. It will not just be Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt. He will not take the pass catching ability off of the side of the football. They will put someone else in that position, so keep an eye on that, ladies. That could be a sneaky pickup. Terry McLaurin and Deebo Samuels. Now, Deebo Samuels is a must start, in my opinion, specifically if the backup quarterback ends up playing. I think they're going to utilize Deebo Samuels in those short check down, which is Deebo Samuels' more slot receiver role. Terry McLaurin is not a slot receiver. He's a deep threat guy. Are they going to be able to get the ball to him if the backup's in? Probably not. There'd probably be questions where I might even consider doing something kind of risky and going Jacoby Myers over Terry McLaurin in week number 3. Do I think Scary Terry is still an elite wide receiver? Yes. This might be a week I choose to sit him if my roster allows for it due to a potential backup quarterback option. I am starting Zach Ertz though. Period. Even with a backup quarterback, he's going to be a great tight end option. And then again, Commanders defense, great streamable option specifically against a struggling Geno Smith like we saw this week.
All right, next up, I'm going to go into Indianapolis, Tennessee. First up for Indy, we talked about Daniel Jones. What did we call him? Danny Dimes, right?
Danny Dimes. He's called,
right? I think he is a great flex option, super flex option. I think he's a great streaming option. I think look at him for those injured, to fill that injured quarterback role, right? He's kind of reminding us of Sam Darnold from last year, right? He may have some drop off, but maybe that doesn't happen. We all thought he was going to drop off on week 2, but here he is. I think Michael Pittman as a start. He, maybe had a little bit of a poor week, but he has some upside for sure. I would probably sit Josh Downs. I think we were back and forth on sit or start Josh Downs.
I'm a start
right?
Josh Downs.
Yeah.
I'm in the start Josh Downs camp. Ange might sit in, which is fair. Like everyone has different opinions on that. I'm a start Josh Downs girl.
Right. I think he's a little bit of a riskier start. I would probably, if you're looking at it as a who to start over him or who he should start over, maybe you start Downs over Shaheed. Maybe you start Downs over Shakir. Now Shakir's a little bit back and forth there just with the matchup this week. You got to start Jonathan Taylor as your running back for the Indianapolis Colts. And then Tyler Warren is becoming a top tier tight end. He is a must start. Moving on to Tennessee, I would sit Cam Ward, really not as reliable as we hoped. Like Amanda mentioned earlier, if you have him and that's all you have, then sure. But you maybe want to pick up Darnold over Ward. I don't know, wouldn't go as far as saying Aaron Rodgers over Ward, but it might be an option there. I would sit Calvin Ridley. He has really not done anything. If you are super desperate, then he is, a guy that you're starting. And then Alec Iomanner, which we mentioned earlier, is becoming a little bit more relevant in the Titans wide receiving core. But don't jump on him and think he had a great week in week 2. I need to start him. I need to get him in my lineup. That is not how we want to think. But he's a good guy that you can stash. You might even be able to pick him up off waivers. And then really no tight end. I don't even want to know how to say the tight end for
Chika Okonkwo. I know that one.
Oh, she got it. Okay. So that was pretty much wrap it up. Defense there, I really wouldn't say there's anything too memorable on either side of the defenses. I probably wouldn't say start either of those or even stream them.
Absolutely. All right, moving over to Dallas versus Chicago. This one's pretty easy, specifically on the Dallas side of the football. You're playing Dak Prescott. You are playing Javonte Williams for sure. You're playing CeeDee Lamb. You're playing George Pickens. You're playing Jake Ferguson. All great starts of the week. Most of the offensive side of the Dallas football is beautiful this week, so we love that for them. And they're also going up against the Bears, who just gave up 52 points to the Lions. So this is like my matchup of the week on the offensive side of the football. I think all of those offensive guys on the Dallas side are going to score big time this week. On the Bears side of the football, we've got Caleb Williams. I think he's a great streaming option. We did just see Russell Wilson put up a good amount of points against the Dallas defense last week. They do give Caleb time to run and pass, so I think he's a great streaming option this week. Wide receivers, Rome Odunze, absolutely start DeAndre Swift. Yes, also start DeAndre Swift as well. The only person to maybe think about a sit-start option is DJ Moore. I think he could potentially be a safe option week number 2. Again, we saw great usage of Wan'Dale and Malik Neighbors against the Cowboys last week. So I do expect to see both production from Rome Odunze and DJ Moore this week. However, if you had to decide, I would probably preference someone like a Josh Downs over DJ Moore this week, but that's just personal preference. DJ Moore technically would be maybe a little bit safer. The tight end, Kemet, Loveland, neither of them are starting tight ends at this point. I know I'm the manager of Loveland. I'm probably going to drop him at this point. He just hasn't been shown to be any usage yet. Maybe he does later, and I can always pick him up later if so.
All right, moving into New Orleans, Seattle. On the Saints side, Spencer Rattler is not really in your even review mirror, right? Don't start him. He's not startable in most leagues unless you have a really deep league or you're in a super flex where you're looking for somebody. Chris Olave didn't have a great week 2, but I think he's still a must start. I think he's still the cleared wide receiver 1 in New Orleans for Rattler. Rashid Shaheed, I think he's a risky start. He's explosive, but he's a little bit inconsistent. We don't know how he's going to really keep up this trend. I'd rather play someone like Pittman or Josh Downs over him. But if you're choosing between maybe Shaheed or Mims, maybe I'd go Shaheed over Mims. That's my personal opinion. Alvin Kamara is an auto start. He's still the guy. Sometimes you have to kind of, like Amanda says, clench your butt cheeks and hope for the best for Alvin Kamara, but he's still doing okay. And then tight end Juwan Johnson, we said he's got to be a pickup. You got to grab him, love him. If you're struggling in the tight end position, he is a great add and a great starter. And then defense, not really rolling with anything with the New Orleans defense. As far as the Seattle side, Sam Darnold's becoming a sneaky, solid quarterback too, right? In Superflex leagues, he might be just what you need. He has weapons. He's viable. Wide receiver, his clear wide receiver 1 is JSN. Start him. He's getting consistent targets. No question there. Cooper Kupp might be a little bit riskier. He's, like we keep saying, old. I don't even know if he's older than us, but he's old, right? A little bit less reliable. JSN stealing some of those targets. But he could be a start there for you if you need a wide receiver. I don't think he's a bad start if you're in, that position. And then as far as the running backs for Seattle go, it's kind of a coin flip, in my opinion, with Walker, Charbonnet. Now, Walker became the clear lead back in week 2, right? But in week 1, it was kind of like who are we going to play, right? Charbonnet took a little bit more of the time in week 1. Now Kenneth Walker's shining. I think Kenneth Walker is going to really emerge. I think Charbonnet was a little bit of a booty hole person there in week 2, but it is okay. And then really no relevant tight end. And then the Seattle defense, middle of the road, not really a priority as far as defenses go. I mean, I think they're a viable option.
Yeah, for sure. Who do they play against again? The Saints.
Saints.
Yeah. So maybe a little bit of an option versus Spencer Rattler. So, I mean, again, it just really depends on who you want to take a shot on. Over to Arizona, San Fran, Arizona side of the football. There's lots of starts here. So we are starting Kyler Murray again, looking great, connecting really well with some people, maybe not all of them though. James Conner, again, they're utilizing him a ton. He's a start. You're going to sit Trey Benson. Trey Benson to me is maybe you need a running back on a bye week situation. You're not starting him. He is the clear back to James Conner, but if James Conner goes down, then sure, Trey Benson's a great option, but he's not a start. Trey Benson's a sit. James Conner is a start. Marvin Harrison Jr., unfortunately, yes, is a start. Here's what I'm going to hope. I'm going to hope that I talk poorly upon the connection between Kyler Murray and Marvin Harrison Jr., and then that promotes their production in week number 3.
Reverse psychology,
baby. They didn't look great last year. They didn't appear to connect. They are still not connecting this year. At this point, I am starting to get a little bit worried about will Marv be a really viable wide receiver 1 or not due to his connection with Kyler Murray. However, he's still a start. I still got to start him because I'm going to risk it for the biscuit until a few more games, essentially. Trey McBride looks like the wide receiver 1 on the Arizona Cardinals side of the football. Auto start, don't even think about it. And the Cardinals defense is a viable streaming option. Again, more depending on matchup. Against San Fran, again, Mac Jones as a backup quarterback could be a potential option, but just be on the lookout for maybe more favorable options there outside of them. San Francisco, I'm not even talking about Mac Jones because he's not a streamable quarterback at this point. There's other options out there. You shouldn't have to resort to that. CMC is an auto start as a running back. Brian Robinson is his backup. So you're not starting Brian Robinson. You're starting CMC. Wide receivers, Ricky Pearsall is a start. Juwan Jennings is risky. So the only reason Juwan Jennings had good production is because he got into the end zone. He's not someone I'm going to consider to start at this point, but Ricky Pearsall is someone I will start week to week. George Kittle is out. There's really no one from that or from the tight end room I'm going to bet on at this point just yet. And again, the 49ers defense is a viable start option. They are playing against Arizona, so maybe not so much this week, but moving forward in other weeks, they could be someone you look at.
All right. And then we'll head it into my last matchup here. Kansas City, New York Giants. On the Chiefs side, Patrick Mahomes is an easy start. He has some rushing upside this year, which makes him even more dangerous. Wide receiver room is a little bit iffy here, right? So we saw Hollywood Brown come in not being as productive as people would have hoped, but I think he's still a start here, going into week 3. Xavier Worthy, you got to monitor his health. I could not believe there was even an inkling that he was going to maybe play week 2. Like, bro, just take it easy. So keep your eyes on him. Don't count him out yet, but keep an eye on him. Tyquan Thornton was a guy that I know I had my eye on a little bit. I mean, again, this is kind of the trend of week 2. Do not get all excited about these guys who are doing these big things and saying, I got to have him on my team. I got to have him a starter. More of a streaming option here. Pick up off the waiver wire. And then the Kansas City running game is just trash ball, right? So sit Pacheco, sit Kareem Hunt, doing really nothing there. And then I think at the tight end, Travis Kelce isn't always start. I think he's tough there as a receiver as well as a tight end. And then the defense is good against the pass. They can pressure Russell Wilson. I'd start them this week for Kansas City.
I just have to rub a little salt in the wound. The 0-2 Kansas City Chiefs. I'm just saying.
That was one of my
Kansas City
surprises of the week. Yes, that I was like, because we were like, my husband and I were like, wait, are they 0-2? He was like, yeah. It's weird because
I know it.
I always parallel them to like how I disliked the Patriots for so long, just because they never stopped winning, right? Yep. And now the Kansas City, I'm like, good, get off your high horse. But hopefully I never feel that way about Philadelphia.
That should bode a good week for the Kansas City fiery offense.
It always does. I mean, look at the Lions in week 2. I mean, they shut everybody up. On the Giants side, Russell Wilson, do not trust him. I don't think he's going to have the same brilliance as week 2, so do not start him. Maybe in a super flex you have him and you want to risk it for the biscuit, but probably wouldn't do that. Malik Neighbors, got to start him. He's electric. There's really no question about that. Wan'Dale Robinson, we talked about him earlier, is kind of the other side of the field. I think he is also a really great start, seeing just as many targets as Neighbors. I would sit Tyrone Tracy. There's better options. Warren, ETN out there are better options than Tyrone Tracy. Cam Scatterboot has been emerging as kind of the backfield guy, but I think he's kind of a touchdown or bust guy. I would sit him for now. Wait till we see what his production is. And then really no tight end to mention here in the Giants. And then the defense, not really excited about it. Their pass rush is fine, but they did struggle against Dallas a little bit, so I probably wouldn't be thinking about them.
Absolutely. All right, my final game here, and in my opinion, game of the week, Detroit versus Baltimore, I think is going to be a brawl-out matchup. And there are some clear, easy starts here. On the Detroit side of the football, Jared Goff is a great start. Again, really consistent quarterback option. Gibbs, The only guy who's more of that fringe start is David Montgomery. Maybe if you need another running back. I wouldn't be starting Gibbs and Monty if I have them both on my team. I would pick Gibbs over Monty. However, if you need a streaming RB2 or something, Monty could be an option. Starts. Amin-Ra St. Brown. Start. Jamison Williams. Start. He looked great week number 2 for sure. Sitting Isaac Tesla. Do not get shiny object syndrome. He had a couple great catches, but he's not a consistent part of their offense. Sam Laporta as their tight end. Yeah, good. Still a good target for you. He only saw 4 targets in week 2, but still a viable tight end option. He's that mid-tier tight end. Some weeks he's going to just do the basic for you, 4 to 6 points. Other weeks he's going to score 12 points. I would still throw him in my lineup if I have him. On the Baltimore side of the football, easy. Lamar. Derrick Henry, Zay Flowers, start. Mark Andrews, if you have no other options and you want to risk it for him, go for it. Again, he's just questionable at this point. If you could sit him down, go for it. I mean, I'm almost looking at I might go Harold Fanning Jr. over Mark Andrews because I just prefer the potential upside. There just doesn't seem to be an upside for Mark Andrews right now. Ertz over Andrews for sure. I might even go Evan Ingram over Mark Andrews. They're both Evan Ingram and Mark Andrews are both very what the fuck are we doing? But I might risk it for the potential upside of Evan Ingram. Who knows?
Hey. Okay.
Top tier, the Ravens defense is a start for sure. Top tier defense, elite pass rush. You want to go for it. Does it make me a little bit nervous about Jared Goff? Yes, but I still think he's going to show up and be that guy. So those are every single week number 3 matchup for the week. So buckle in, baby. We're rolling into week 3. And to end our show, we're going to end it like we always do. We're going to do sweet and spicy start of the week. So give me your sweet Let's go sweet first. Give me your sweet start of the week, Ange.
I like it. All right. My sweet start of the week is Rome Odunze. I had him on my team. I was just praising him all day on Sunday. He had his career best points in week 2. He arrived. He asserted himself. He said, I am here. I am the wide receiver 1, even though people are saying he's the wide receiver 2. I think he's the wide receiver 1. So Odunze is my sweet start of the week.
Yep. I love it. My sweet start of the week is Tucker Kraft mac and cheese. I think he's the creme de la creme of mac and cheese. And he had a great week too. 6 receptions, 124 yards, 1 touchdown. He just looks so explosive on the offensive side. And Jordan Love loves him. And I love Jordan Love because of that. So Tucker Kraft is my sweet start of the week. Let's get a little spicy.
How do the kids do this? How do they do
They don't
this?
do it like that anymore. Don't they do it like
now
that?
They do it like this. Oh God, I can't even do it. My hands are all
we do it like
gross.
this because we're millennials, and we also answer the phone like this because we're millennials.
And you have big hands, so it works.
Oh, I have huge hands.
All right, my spicy start of the week is Bashal Tootin. Toot himself. So just like, you didn't say it yet, so I'm not going to spoil it.
It's okay. Don't spoil my spice.
He's a risky play, right? He's behind ETN, who is the clear dominant force in the backfield. But if you were desperate for an RB2, an RB3, he could be a good snag. Let's say you decided that you were going to spend some high draft capital on Caleb Johnson, and now you are literally questioning your life choices. Bashal Tootin would be someone to toot right in there. I think he is a great guy. It might be a little bit of a clench your booty cheeks and keep that tootin' in, but we'll see. And Trevor Lawrence even had some really good things to say about him, about his resilience and his gains. And Liam Cohen is really vowing for more of a rush-heavy team this year. So I think Tootin is going to get involved more.
Hold the tootin'. I like it. Hold the tootin'. My spicy start of the week is also a running back. I'm going Cam scatta boo. Again, usually he would be a hell no. Like I would not be starting him. We even put him on the sit list for our sit starts list. So he is typically a hell no for me. However, I like his production. He seems to be making his way into the offense. He's going to take over that backfield away from Tyrone Tracy. Bet on it. And if I needed a desperate play, I have no fucking options. Cam Scattaboo would definitely be over like a Nick Chubb for me. Like I would rather risk it for the biscuit and go down in a fucking fiery flame of hell than put it like I'll go for it. So he is my spicy start of the week. I agree. All right, guys. Well, that is every single week 3 matchup. Like we already said, that is our sweet and spicy starts of the week. So we are ready to dive headfirst into another week of NFL football. Like I already mentioned, we do a few things over on our Patreon. So if you're not already a member, make sure you check it out. On Tuesday nights, we go live every single night to talk waiver wires. So we talk waiver wires for your specific roster and also overall waiver wires as well that we post over in the Patreon. So you can check that out in the show notes below. We also do full updated injury reports in the Patreon as well. That way, as we get closer to kickoff, you know who's out, who's in, and everything you need to know when it comes to fantasy. We also do true roster roasts, where we will tell you exactly who to sit and start from your individual roster ahead of games. So if you're looking for more individualized sit-start information, make sure you go down into the show notes and join the Patreon. We look forward to seeing you guys in there. And as always, if you're not already, make sure you follow us on TikTok, Instagram at Let's Talk Football Sis, and obviously subscribe to this podcast on Spotify, YouTube, all of it. Send us in your comments, questions, etc. We love you guys so much. We appreciate you. And let's kick it into week number 3 of NFL football. Good luck, my friends.
Week number 3. Let's go. See you guys.
See you guys.